Hi everyone, once again a very good morning and welcome to Innovate Malaysia Design Conference 2020, the grand finale event of Innovate Malaysia Design Competition. Once again, I'm Eunice, your MC for this morning's event. This event is an industry-organized multidisciplinary engineering design competition that is managed by DreamCatcher Consulting and was made possible with the support and contribution by 22 industry partners, 28 universities in Malaysia, 3 engineering professional bodies, and 4 government agencies. This competition was held in an effort to develop industry-relevant technical talent to support the growth of high-tech E&E and ICT industries. Apart from nurturing closer industry-academia collaboration, the competition also aims at promoting a culture of continuous innovation and enhancing the student skill sets in practical design engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, Innovate Malaysia Design Competition started back in 2011. I suppose many audiences are not aware that this is actually indeed our 10th year anniversary of Innovate Malaysia. To share with you the journey and impact this competition has brought, please allow me to share a short video montage.
Engineering student, but I need to possess the knowledge in machine learning, programming, control, and so on in order to complete my project. In my opinion, I think that Innovate Malaysia is an excellent platform for us to learn and grow together.
After the competition, I gained a very clear view in my future career path, which is become a design engineer. Currently, I'm in Peng and I'm working in Intel PSG, which is a former Altera. I am the IP logic design engineer in the team, and the job is to creating more and more exciting IP and solution to our customer.
I think the benefit is clear-cut. First, they get exposure to the latest technology from the industry. Second, to me, which is more important, is the soft skill or the communication skill. Those two benefit I think you can buy anywhere. So it's a unique experience for the students that participate.
I'm actually bringing a student to take part in Innovate for many years already. So the only way to make them different is to take part in competition. So they take the real challenge on the design, on the industry given, and then see how they can be better than other people. So how can they be outstanding throughout the whole competition?
Participants also receive project mentorship, which is very important, which is from the industry expert. And then the participant will also be given priority access to high-value jobs offered by participating companies.
This is the 10th year that Innovate Malaysia is providing an opportunity to university students. I'm so glad that I've been a part of Innovate Malaysia since the beginning. Why it is so important? Obviously, our younger generation needs a platform that allows them to showcase their creativity and innovation. I can see that thousands of students has been exposed to the latest technology, and many of them have been absorbed by the industry because of the excellent work they have done.
Amazing years, what amazing journey has been, and the impact this competition has brought forth year after year. In this year's competition, we have 367 teams from 28 universities nationwide sign up to participate in various technology track and design challenges this year. After a year-long competition activities, 59 teams made it to the grand finale today. So later today, they will be competing for a total of 111,500 ringgit of cash prizes plus attractive item prizes. Yes, you heard it right, a total of 111,000 worth of cash prizes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is unfortunate due to the COVID-19 pandemic and RMCO enforcement, the Innovate Malaysia Organizing Committee decided to move the event online this year. However, the silver lining to this is that we are not limited by physical space. And it seems like we have quite a large audience online with us this morning. As mentioned earlier, this online event will start with our panel discussion, followed by technology talks from industry experts, and finally presentations from our finalists. Now, without further ado, I would like to kick off the panel discussion session by introducing our distinguished panelists this morning. All right, so we have Dato Peng, Chief Operating Officer of Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, or MDEC, Professor Dr. Badlishah, Vice Chancellor of University Malaysia Perlis UniMAP, Mr. Eric Chan, VP of IoT Group, GM of Customer Engineering Intel, Mr. Wong Keat, Executive Advisor of CADVision Systems, and Ms. Queenie Wong, Director of Customer Advisory, SAS Institute. And our moderator for this morning is none other than Dr. Hor Poh Jin, CEO of DreamCatcher Consulting. Now, in the next 80 minutes, our panelists will discuss how will university graduates face the challenging post-pandemic economy. So if I were you students, I'll be all ears, listening intently and heeding to advice of these industry experts. Now remember, once again, you are able to ask our panelists questions by submitting your questions at the chat box that is on the right-hand side of your screen during our Q&A session. All right, so now without wasting any more time, Dr. Hor, over to you to start our discussion for today.
Good morning. Thank you, Eunice, for the great introduction and the background. Good morning to all the respected panelists. Welcome, Dato Peng, Eric, Keat, Prof. Badlishah, and Queenie. Thank you for joining us today. Okay. As Eunice said, right, the COVID-19 pandemic has swept the world, right, since January this year, and have affected our life in many ways, right? Even in Malaysia, the 10 years we have to go online. Many countries have imposed MCO, right? And the impact of this is that many businesses will be impacted, and also many jobs have been lost, right? If you look at the news, right? So the latest numbers from Malaysia is that in the last quarter, we are experiencing 17.1% of a contraction in GDP, right? So I'm sure that the contraction will have impact on job opportunity, especially for the fresh graduates. So for today's panel discussion, we are going to discuss in detail the impact of COVID-19 on university graduates and how university graduates face the challenging post-pandemic economy, right? Okay. Now, first of all, I think Eric, right? Since your background have been multinationals and you have been traveling a lot, right? And our audience are all mainly from technical background. They are the engineers, IT, and also software engineering. Can you tell us how COVID-19 affect the local high-tech industry and how it actually affect the employment opportunity for this group of fresh graduates that's going to come out this year? Eric, were you able to provide some insight?
Hey, thanks, Dr. Ho. Before I start, maybe once again, I want to thank the sponsor, partners, universities, government agency, and DreamCatcher as well for successful organizing this 10 Innovate Malaysia design competition. And despite the COVID-19 global pandemic, we're still able to do it online, virtual. And of course, to all the students and graduates, and thank you for completing the project, and for some, maybe congratulations on your graduation. So let me answer the question, Dr. Ho. I think compared to other countries, we should be proud that Malaysia did really well in managing the whole COVID-19 global pandemic situation. And most companies, even back in the MCO days back in March, were able to keep the operations going. This is, I think we should be proud. Hopefully this will result in a much more higher confidence. And we did with our headquarters, and hopefully we're able to attract even more investment coming to Malaysia, right? From the business perspective, for technology companies, not as bad, as you're aware. Intel are doing much better than other segments. If you are in a travel, leisure, retail, that's challenging. But due to the global pandemic, where most of us are either working from home or students are taking their education online, you can see there's a spike, an increase in demand for notebook or any of these computing devices, and also cloud-based services. A lot of us are using tools, collaborative tools to work together, like right now with this Teams or Zoom for education or Google education. So increasingly there are a lot of spike in other areas. However, this near-term demand, I worry the spike may not last. If you look at the global economy, just back in Q2 this year, US economy contracted almost by 33%. And Malaysia just reported we will have a drop of about 17%. So if the economy doesn't recover, then naturally there will be a bit of a longer term impact. But hopefully we're doing all we can. Countries like Malaysia, we are kind of recovering well. So hopefully things will be better. So I think it's expected that most companies, including technology companies, will be a little bit more conservative for the next maybe 6 to 12 months to prepare for any uncertainties. But having said that, most industry are, because of the pandemic, because of the lockdown, are even increasing and accelerating their digital transformation. I think because of this, we can expect demand for more semiconductors, more software solutions, software services. So with that, I'm actually quite upbeat. Over the next 1 or 2 years, things will recover. In some cases, maybe even better. And for Intel Malaysia, we're still hiring a lot of graduate trainees, and I explain a little bit more later on, as well as experienced engineer in mostly silicon design, platform development in departments that are still growing. So in summary, a bit near-term headwind, but long-term, much more optimistic. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. So it looks like high-tech industry is doing reasonably well, and it depends on the global trend and economy for the next 12 months, right? So Queenie, you have been working with many of your customers, right? Are you able to share with your perspective on how you see the impact?
Queenie, you're on mute.
Queenie, you are on mute.
Right.
Okay, now you're okay. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. Morning, everyone. Thanks for having me as a panelist, and thank a lot to all the supporters of Innovate Malaysia. Glad to made it to the 10th year, and hope that you will be sustainable for the years to come. Right. To answer the question, without further delay, just answer the question. I think from our point of view, we are in the data analytics space. And even before MCO and even during MCO, we do see a lot of demand for companies to adopt more analytical capabilities in terms of accelerating their delivery, in innovating their services, and also in servicing their customer. And I think, like Eric, echoing what Eric is saying, is that with the MCO, I think everybody is accelerated to the digital adoption. For those of them who are at the beginning of what we call a digital journey, has actually adopted a lot of so-called sandbox projects and going live with them. And I think from a technology point of view, we welcome this ad hoc adoption, I would call it, right? And it's actually ad hoc because it caught all of us by surprise, right? The whole industry by surprise, be it you're a multinational or you're local or a consumer. And I think in general, a lot of companies have some way or another adopted electronic way of communicating with customer, as well as a digital way of communicating with customer. So from the impact point of view, I do see that there is an impact, but I think the impact had a quick recovery for some of them. Of course, like Eric said, you know, the retail, retail are badly affected, tourism are badly affected, the hospitality business is badly affected. But I think the rest, everybody has resumed to some level of electronic and digital communications and digital delivery. So we see that companies in Malaysia, if they're vigilant and they're able to adopt a new change, a new mindset, they should be able to sustain. Of course, a lot of effort will have to be put into the thinking of adopting more innovative way of communicating with customer, right? Now, with the impact of COVID-19, I think one of the things that I do see organizations are doing is getting more agile, making themselves more accessible and more nimble. We do see sprouts of small companies coming into Asia, coming into Malaysia, setting up their own setup here in Asia, and I think that is a good welcome to getting back on track with the COVID-19 situation.
Okay, thank you, Queenie. Also, just now, Eric and Queenie brought about digital adoption, right? And there are some new innovative way of addressing the situation, right? So now, everyone is talking about potentially after COVID-19, right? After the lockdown, there will be a new normals, right? So Dato Peng, MDEC, right, who is leading the digital transformation and digital economy of Malaysia, what kind of new norm that you foresee to take place, and what type of new job opportunity that will be created in Malaysia? Dato.
Thank you, Poh Jin. Good morning, everybody. Great to see all of you. 10 years is our echo, Queenie. Please continue, don't stop. Just after watching the montage, they realize that it's a long journey, and seeing that many of the original players are still there is really fantastic. Okay, back to your questions.
Yeah, thank you.
It's exciting time where digitalization is concerned, because you know that we have been trying to push everybody to go digital, but more often than not, especially the smaller players will be saying that I can wait, you know, my business is still doing okay. But this COVID-19 really has taught us all a lesson that when you have a chance, please take it. So the new norm, I think I look at it from two angles. One is from consumer, the other one from the business side of it. I think consumer has adopted very, very fast. It's also due to necessity. Everyone is talking about online business. Obviously, we all, as human beings, we like to have this social interaction. But when you are limited by the restriction, so moving online is one of the choices that we have. So because of the consumer behavior change, this is actually impacting the business as well. So from consumer point of view, we are getting used to buying online, not just buying goods, but buying buying services as well. And it becomes something is natural. Just like when we do seminar, before that we never thought about, we'll do like now today, but now every day you can go onto remote conference, meeting without thinking, and it just come natural. So, and today, the more frequent question you ask yourself is that when people say meeting, so it's like, is it online or is it offline? And when you talk about offline, sometimes you believe that it's even worse than online, because online really save a lot of time. So that because of the consumer behavior and also because of restriction, so business landscape has also changed. We are more open to the idea of doing business using technology. Going online again is a good thing. And adoption, digitalization, the pace of digitalization has also increased. I'll cite two examples. In May, we started a week-long, we call it online expo, because we normally run an e-commerce day, 2 days event offline where you can have a few thousand people come, and we thought it's fantastic. A few thousand come, but you know how many people that actually we cannot say that whether they're unique people coming in. But the reach was more than 3 million through this online e-commerce. And I'm sure there are also not just businesses, I'm sure there are also consumer. But 3 million, considering we have about 1 million SMEs. And last week we did another called SME Digital Summit. Our original plan was if we can reach out to 100,000, we'll be very happy, because that's through our previous experience. Yes, first day, 300,000. Second day, end of second day is 500,000, and as of third day, my staff told me we have about 1 million view, and people still coming in and say that can I know more. So that shows that the interest to go digital is really, really huge. So we shouldn't waste the opportunity. If you're a technology service provider, should take this opportunity to roll out packages that your business sector can adopt, because this is a time they will want to use. And people now believe that it's possible and they can all do it. I know that many of you maybe from Penang, because we have some TSPs. I shouldn't be promoting anybody, so I won't say anyone. So they're going to launch certain things soon, and they also make it easy. The three reasons that people don't go digital is that they think it's very expensive. But you know, with government coming in and technology service provider coming in to provide support, this is the best time to go. MDEC alone, we drive a few things like SME Digital Quick Wins. We work with a few hundred technology service providers to either provide free or very heavily subsidized solutions for them to use. Start with maybe less than 1,000. You can already go digital. Not full digitalization, but digitize is possible. There are grants like SME Business Digitalization Grant, matching up to 5,000, and covering 7 key, I would say, essential sectors that business can use. And we also have something called Go E-commerce platform. If anybody wants to do e-commerce, they can come on board. There are many others that I think people should take this opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Dato. Okay, now, Prof, you just joined. Yep, welcome. Some technical challenge, right? Prof, your mic is mute. I can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Okay, that's good.
All right.
All right. So, Prof, Dato say that there is accelerated adoption of digital solution, And now that there are many, even SME, right, start to jump into the bandwagon of all these digital solution. And Dato also rightly point out, if you are slow, then you may miss the business opportunity and you may come as obsolete, right? So what is your perspective on these questions of, what is the new norm and what are the new job opportunity that you can advise to all the fresh graduates?
All right, thank you very much. So I nearly missed this forum actually, but anyway, regarding the question, I think this is a new norm that everybody has to prepare themselves. So the government say keep safe distance and so on, the 3S. So this is the opportunity for us to be in the digital present, the so-called digital present, and we are always in the run or always in the need or all of our activities now in digital form. Regarding email, I think we've used it a long time ago, the messaging, in fact, the applications such as the Telegram, WhatsApp, etc. So these are the new norms now that we are experiencing. So we as I think either we as employer or employee, the students or the market player, SME, I think this is the time where we need to embrace ourselves with this digital situation or digital platform that we are using. So from my point of view is that for the student, for them in order to get a job, they have to get themselves prepared. There are few things that we for the student to know or take this opportunity. Number one is they have to be quick in response. Nowadays, everybody messaging, no, sometimes email is too slow now. So everything, WhatsApp, Telegram, number one, you have to have a quick response. Number two is that you have to be effectively able to communicate through this digital platform. So we have to know how to using the application to browse ourselves in the system. I think number three is ability to engage and of course provide a solution and opinion and in the discussion.
Okay, we temporarily lose Prof. So just to tip in.
Okay. Is it okay? To summarize, I think the students should take this opportunity to make themselves prepare with the online ability to communicate effectively. So this they have to take that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. What I hear from you is the words very powerful, right? Digital present, right? To make sure that all the new generation need to be able to handle what we call effective digital present, whether it's online conference call and online engagement, even work online, right?
Yes.
Keat, you're based in Singapore, right? So can you put a little bit of quick perspective from that perspective, the new norm that's going to be
Yes. Hi. Yes. Good morning, everybody, and thanks very much for having me. It's my first time in this conference, and really an honor, as well as congratulations. I think is in order to IMDC for your 10th year anniversary. And yes, and to the question of the new norm, what is it like, and what are we seeing? Certainly, I think everybody has been experiencing it. I think it hit us very suddenly, as Queenie pointed out. From my perspective, sitting here looking at companies in Singapore as well as in Malaysia, I think we are pretty much experiencing it in the same ways. All of a sudden, we have to go digital, whether we like it or not. It is certainly an impetus with this COVID-19 situation, thrusting us into the new age of digitalization and automation. So besides digitalization, I would add actually, it is actually pushing us towards more and more automation. And to bring it closer to, I think, our audience here today, what I would say is that I think the impact to the future workforce is actually going to be great, but the opportunities will also be great. So it's really about how you embrace it. Obviously, the digitalization and the automation is taking place very broadly, from the way you work to the way you deliver your products, to the way you communicate and interact with your customers. Everything else has gone digital. The impact of that and how it is going to affect your learning, for example, is actually very significant. We are very used to, like, for example, going to courses and attending classes. Now it's all online. It's all digital. There's a lot of self-learning involved as well. So embracing the tools, obviously we can go into a lot of the technology part of it. We have a lot of technical people online today. We can look at how technology has affected us. But I would say that in general, as Dato has pointed out as well, it is really about how quickly we adopt it, right? And those who have adopted this earlier are seeing the fruits of it today. They are able to adapt very quickly, and some of them are even able to take advantage of it. So in terms of graduates, for example, getting out into the market, I think it's going to be quite interesting. My advice would be really just to embrace this change that is happening, pursue the areas that you obviously see opportunities in, but look forward in terms of what you can learn. Don't stop here where you are right now. I think one of the key qualities is really about how quickly you can actually pick up knowledge, and how quickly you can actually adapt to the changes, whether it is from digitalization or from automation.
Thank you. Yeah. So with this COVID-19 and new norm, I think learning and also business are kind of very, very dynamic. So now there are a lot of people and companies start to choose and opt for more flexible work arrangements. Right? Example is that you can work from home, from anywhere, or you can work based on your time, right? Some Grab driver can drive at night, midnight, they take the shift as per their need, right? So, but again, most of our fresh graduates do not have a lot of insight into what kind of work arrangement that is possible for them in the near future. Eric, as a leader in the multinationals, are you able to advise fresh graduates on some of this contract work, or sometimes they call it gig economy, right, or gig work, right? So you give a bit of insight into what are the term and condition and what are the arrangement that the fresh graduate would expect.
Yeah, so maybe let me share from Intel perspective and maybe we just made an announcement that most of us could work from home until June of next year. So things are definitely much more flexible now given the global pandemic. But I think for the students and the graduates, maybe you would like more on maybe some of the options now that you are graduating or soon, and how do you find the job? So for that, we hire a lot of the graduates as graduate trainees. So we have this graduate trainees program, very successful. The position is not permanent, but you get to work with us for 2 years. And in the 2 years, from past statistics, we hire close to 90% of the graduate trainees. Right before the 2 years is up, we offer you a permanent position. And while you're as graduate trainees, you get the full benefit, full engineering pay, full benefit, everything is there. This program allows that, I would say, a good training. Within the 2 years, you get to train, you get to apply positions within the company. And some cases, like I say, most cases, you will get hired before the 2 years is up. Now, in some cases, maybe when the business is down or some other reasons where we can't hire, the experience is also very good, because or you may decide that you found a better opportunity and you leave us. So you take away a lot of good training. And then similar for the hiring managers, they also get to evaluate you, get to choose your skill set based on the job requirements. And so I think in a sense it's a good program, and this will allow both sides to go try things out before we commit to a more permanent position. So that's how we hire most of the graduate trainees from fresh grad. For experienced hire, of course, they're coming in as permanent position. Now, the other options you can also explore is maybe working with our outsourced vendor. So even for Intel and a lot of multinationals, we have a lot of outsourced vendor. These are our approved outsourced vendor. And so you can work with them. But guess what? You'll be doing projects for Intel. So you'll be like really working sometimes even at Intel, at our office, working on Intel projects. And the pay and benefit naturally are tied to the outsourced vendor. And they are very competitive now, some cases even more competitive to attract the graduates. Now, the good thing about this is you also get to expose to all the projects we're doing at Intel or the MNCs, and then sometimes you impress the people so much, we will hire you, right? So, oh, come on. And we have an arrangement with the outsourced vendor. So there's a transition from the outsourced vendor into Intel or some of the MNCs. So don't look down at the outsourced vendor. They are a really good training ground, good exposure, and the pay are quite competitive, right? So sometimes the options are limited and you got to be more open to everything. And then the other piece I feel is a new trend. With the global pandemic now, more and more companies are allowing employees to work from home. So therefore, you're no longer constraining to the jobs to where you live, right? So you hear this Google, Facebook, they are hiring all over the world, right? So you should not limit to just companies around you. You should go apply everywhere else. And this is where, if you are really good, and most of this, I would say more software solutions, software services, in the companies like Queenie on SaaS. So if your programming skill is really top notch, I'm quite sure Queenie will hire you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Eric. Dato, we know that MDEC is actually championing a digital economy and now promoting the so-called gig economy to create jobs for Malaysians. What kind of initiative or support that MDEC have for these gig workers?
First thing first, I'd like to say that companies are still hiring, especially the tech companies. And that we continue to compile a list of the companies we are hiring, because we have a few thousand companies registered with us and we're following up with them. And many of them are still hiring, just like what Eric said. So especially for the audience today, I believe these students, they have good background, and hopefully it's easier for them to find a job. But like you say, just in case, because of the pandemic, some companies are scaling down and not everybody can be absorbed into the work market. The gig workers is the way to go. Gig work is actually not something new. In more developed countries like in US, I think about 50% at least of the people are doing some freelancing job. In UK, it's the same. Because in Malaysia, we started a bit later, but we have had successful result. MDEC run a program called GLOW, G-L-O-W, that is Global Online Workers. And this GLOW program, we provide guidance and training to the people who already have certain skill set. Like are you an engineering student, you are a programmer, you are a designer, but you may not know how to get a job, how to be a gig worker. So that's where we come in. We have people, real freelancer, teaching and mentoring these individuals so that they know how to go bid for a job. I use the word bid for a job because you are no longer a full-time employee of a company, but you have to go out and bid for a project, and you start to build your profile. And it's not something that you go for a job interview, but you need to know how to win a job and produce good quality, and you build your profile digitally. We have very good success story. You'll be amazed with this story I'm telling you. There's this girl who joined our program in 2017. She learned how to do this job, and in 2018, she brought in for herself 700,000 ringgit income. A year later, she made 1.4 million. And she even built her downline to help her. She's a graduate. So I'm just sharing with you the GLOW program. And recently, through the Penjana, there is also an announcement that government is going to help 10,000 unemployed people, especially the graduate, to be given the right coaching and training, and also provide them with right kind of incentive, because you have to promote yourself on this platform, and government will be supporting as well. We hope that we can, at the very least, benefit 10,000 people who are either currently looking for a job or for some reason was displaced and need to find ways to earn income. This is definitely a way to go. And I just give you an example. 95% of the job comes from overseas, like what Eric said. Some of them, because the company may like you, they may just offer you a job, but majority of them will stay as a gig workers, because gig worker has its advantage as well. You are not a full-time employee, but you can serve multiple companies. So eventually you'll get to do the jobs at a more flexible manner. But one thing I have to say is that you have to be disciplined, because if you want to be a gig worker, you need to work hard as well. Just like you work as a full-time employee, as a freelancer, you still have to have a discipline to work hard. And you want to know more, let's just remember GLOW, go to MDEC's website, you'll find a lot more information on how you can be part of it. And a lot of this training is we are still providing this training for free.
Thank you. Okay, so just now I pick up a few points. One is that Keat talk about quick to learn and adapt because of digital transformation. Dato is bringing out the comment of now you have to bid for jobs, right? The job is no longer assigned to you. You go and bid for it. And Eric is talking about now you may take out a contract work which is almost equivalent or as good pay as a permanent before you're actually moving into permanent, right? So these are all something probably new to fresh graduates. Now let's focus on this, right? What are the new skill sets or mindsets, right, that will allow them to learn and adapt faster, to bid for jobs, or to even take up a temporary job or contract work or any other arrangement before they actually get a permanent job, right? So, Prof, you have been working with all the graduates, right? All the undergraduates, fresh graduates, and you have been teaching many of these people. So, from your point of view, what kind of skill sets, right? Just keep it short and nice. What are the skill sets and mindset, right, that will be able to prepare our graduates, right, to take up the challenges for the new post-pandemic era?
Sure. Thank you very much, Dato. Yeah, I have three mindset that especially the fresh student, actually everybody should have this one. Number one is that they always have to be ready for new challenges. I mean, please don't expect everything is easy. Everything is what you have done before. So everything is ability for them to do new things, new challenging thing. Number two, I think they have to keep positive all the time. You know, sometimes people are very scared for the new thing, so they always think negatively. So it's very important for them to keep thinking positive, to think about they are able to do a lot of things, many things. And number three, I would like to adapt the Nike team lah. You can do, just do it. So they have to have this mindset, they can do it. Because in this world, there are so many new things that you have to be ready and you should be able to do things properly. So these three mindset for me is very important, because these are the things that will help you to gain experience. I think Alibaba is that guy is very, very, throughout their experience, they do whatever the job he want to do. He got a friend and he take a risk to make up the big business. So for me, whatever they do, the mindset of the graduate must be always thinking about getting experiences. So these are very important for them to explore their career. So in terms of skill set, I think I also have three. Number one is that they should be able to find information. I think nowadays information is just, at the end of your fingertips, through the hard copy, especially through the internet. You just call, they call it now Uncle Google. Just ask Uncle Google. He will give you all kind of information. So once you got the information, number two, you should have ability to process that information, because there are so many information. They call it now big data. So the students should be able to process the important information so that they are able to digest and make it useful and able to analyze the information. And the number three is the skill set, ability to provide solution. So once they have the information, they digest the information, then they come up with a solution, because in this life is about problem solving. I think we have heard about this so long, problem solving. Sometimes they don't know what are the skill set to have to do this. So these three things that I mentioned, the mindset, the skill set, that these students, I think everyone, including me, cannot avoid these three mindset and skill set to achieve your goal, your goal in your life, especially in your career. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Queenie, you have been working. As we talk, you have been working with a lot of young and fresh graduates recently. So, what is your assessment and what is your opinion on the critical skill sets and mindset that the fresh graduates equip themselves with?
Well, like Intel and some of the multinational have been doing, we have also been involved in graduate programs. We have had, I think, in 7-8 years already, looking at a graduate program where we take them as what we used to call management trainee, right? And then we put them through a program that's available locally and globally as well. So we have a few selected ones that will go and do an attachment with our global program. Now, having dealt with graduate, I think I agree with Prof. All the mindset and skill sets are very important. But I also want to emphasize here is that as you go into, well, with or without COVID-19, as you go into the more digital space, I think there's a lot of roles that are created because of situation, because of trend, because of many things. Now, don't just be captivated by the title. I think the student also need, when you go for an interview or you want to apply for a job and you go to uni, obviously there are many reasons why you chose what you want to choose to study, right? But you must realize that as you come out, what you have studied and what you have graduated is basically an entry card to an interview. So when you enter the interview, you need to be agile. Your mindset needs to be agile. You need to understand what is the role looking for. Don't be attracted because the title says data scientist, I want to apply, everybody wants to apply. Or it's a solution architect, I want to apply. I think you need to look behind that, right? Now, it's important that you aspire to be something, but it's also important for you to understand what is required of you. Now, I am pro for people that go after jobs that they are interested in, and not because they went to school and spent 5 years on it. Because if you have the intention to do it, then you will do it well. So, for example, we have a lot of mathematics grads, we have a lot of actuarial science, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering working for us, even economic graduates. So it doesn't mean that what you graduate in would be what you want to pursue. So what's very important is agility. And the ability for you to innovate your thinking as a mindset coming into the market, whether you go for an interview or not, that's one thing, but have an innovative mind, that's very important. The other one is like what Prof said, research what you want to do, what is available and all that. That's very important, because sometimes what is available is not what you want to do. So do you wait or do you innovate and be agile? Now, the other thing also that I want to mention here, since all of you are graduating students and all that, is that, and some of us, most of us on the panelists are managers who are managing the younger generation. Don't take a job. You can start a job as a stepping stone, but don't make the stepping stone a 6-month stepping stone, because that does nothing for your interview. That does nothing for your CV, right? As an organization, we might have a little loss, but as a personal, as an individual, as a professional, having a 6-month gig or a 6 months permanent job, for example, on your CV doesn't do you much good. Now, if you are a contractor, it's a different point of view, right? But so think about that from that perspective. The other one that I want to encourage all grads, regardless whether you have a job, you're waiting for a job, or you're graduating, is to adopt the continuous learning attitude. It's very important for you to continue to learn new skills, continue to improve your knowledge. I think there is abundance of knowledge and ability to learn out there. And there are many courses, like what Dato says, is sponsored or it's semi-sponsored, right? Or you can claim. So you should be able to do that continuum mindset. And that's a very important mindset, because as you move into the new space of digital or the use as automation, IoT, there's the new things that you need to understand and you need to adopt. And these are some things that you probably won't learn when you're in school or at work, but you just need to continue to adopt this continuous learning approach and attitude.
Okay, thank you, Queenie. So, Prof. Bart is talking of becoming an explorer and adventurer along the way, solving problems, right? And Queenie is talking about don't hop job, don't change your course, continue the exploration until you gain a lot of experience and you're more valuable, right? So, Eric, so what is your advice, right? Being a very experienced corporate and also have gone through a lot, can you advise them on that and on top of what Prof and Queenie's point?
So we all know as what you learn from universities are very foundational, and I think good job to Prof and all the local universities and even other foreign universities, but most of it, what you learn foundational. And you will realize that a lot of companies, whether it's MNCs or I would say even SME, have their own internal training program to equip you further to do the job. It's almost like a finishing school, and we sometimes do that 6 months to a year, maybe even more. So therefore, I feel it's highly critical that you have a critical learning mindset to maintain your curiosity and your initiative to learn. So your studies at university do not end. As a matter of fact, if anything, it prepares you to learn even faster, even more when you join us in the workforce. And this is how you explore new ways of doing things better, faster, and as part of the foundation of someone mentioned about problem solving skills, right? So you need that, but to do that, you need to be curious. You need to be able to take risks. And the good thing about young people, fresh grads, is that you have a very different perspective. Some of us working in the industry for so long, we no longer can see it. Maybe we're so blinded by the fact that been there, done that. But you come in with a very fresh pair of eyes, and therefore you see things that we do not. And therefore we need you to do that, share that, and maybe push for it. The second piece I feel, and this is maybe a trigger more by the global pandemic, is the fact that a lot of us are doing this. You need really good communications and articulation skills, because a lot of team collaboration are done online. You don't have opportunity to meet in person, maybe less opportunity to do team building. So the trust matters a lot for us in multinational, where we have teams in US or other countries. So you got to have these skills, able to build trust, able to communicate, able to articulate your thoughts, and therefore even more challenging, because previously we get to travel, we get to meet, they come and visit us. Now more or less, or we do it online. So it's much tougher now. The third one I would say is also because the problems are getting more complex now. So single discipline approach doesn't solve it. We need multi-discipline approach. And therefore, in the case of even IoT, Internet of Things, you need to blend AI, you need to blend big data, and bring it all together for Industry 4.0. Right? So it's multi-discipline, and therefore you can't be just too focused on one area. And anytime you have very strong technical capability, technical skill set that can do programming, AI modeling, inferencing, or cloud and edge. So I think all this is where the industry is heading. So if you get yourself in the sweet spot, you're going where the industry is looking for people and talent to help them to grow. So that will be my advice to you.
Thank you, Eric. Right. So now, Keat, do you want to chip in from here on this?
Yeah, sure. I think a lot has been said, so I think it's all very enriching, I'm sure, for the audience in terms of how they should prepare and mindsets. So I'll just add on to a couple of key points. I think about it in terms of soft skills and hard skills. So in the area of soft skills, right? Given the pandemic, I think what we are seeing now is there is an acceleration of what we covered earlier on digitalization. So that acceleration has caused a a trend now for companies to now have to work together a lot more closely in terms of the way they communicate. The digitalization has pretty much flattened the ground for everybody in terms of the landscape. Even competitive landscapes have been flattened, right, because of digitalization. So what that implies is that companies and people will have to work a lot more closely together. They have to collaborate. Information has become a lot more transparent. So as what Eric pointed out, the ability to collaborate is something that I would like to just emphasize. It's also about cross-border collaboration. It is about cross-cultural collaboration. So being sensitive to these things really helps a lot. Of course, your communication, as Eric also pointed out, we need to be able to communicate very effectively. So that's one thing that is now, I think, going to become more acutely sensed or realized. And if you realize that you don't have that communication skills, right, you will find that it's going to be very challenging to work in this digital economy. So I would just encourage people to just think about that area. The other part is, of course, the hard skills. Industry 4.0 is something that is coming, right? That there's no question about it. Everybody is going to have to move in that direction one way or another. So for the audience today, I think if you are in the technology area, obviously there are a lot of disciplines that you can actually pursue, depending on your interest. What I would say is, get an understanding of what Industry 4.0 actually means. Understand that framework clearly so that you know where you fit, where your interest lies, and how you can play a role in the adoption of Industry 4.0. So that's one way of thinking about it. I see a question from the audience here asking about, I think the question is, it says, due to this COVID-19 pandemic, practical laboratory works at university have been transformed to virtual simulation works. So the question is, A, how do industries view this situation with regards to graduate skills and quality? And B, what are initiatives by industries to assist universities on virtual laboratories? Very good question. That is something that has really sort of upended, the research community. So simulation is a key technology that is being used as part of the transformation. A lot of things are happening on a digital platform, and you'd be surprised. I'm sure those of you who are in this field will know that close to 95, in fact even more, of tests can actually be done digitally. So they can be simulated, things like drop tests and all that. So coming from that perspective, I would encourage students to really adopt these tools, adopt these new platforms if you can. These are ways that enable you to continue to do your job, in fact, do it more effectively, without having to rely on a lot more of your physical lab work. So this is one area. I can't speak to how the universities are actually preparing for it, but in general, I would say that for those who are in the engineering space, certainly adoption from the university level all the way to the commercial sectors, adoption of digital tools like simulation, digital twinning, things like product lifecycle, tools that you use in the product lifecycle development. These are all very critical to the success and also to your ability to transform into the future.
Okay. So just we have another 15 minutes before the time's up, right? So now a lot have been said, right? We talk about soft skill, hard skills. We talk about permanent job, contract work. We talk about gig economy. Right? Prof is talking about exploring, be positive and keep going. Queenie talked about doing hope jobs, stay on a job for a certain significant duration to gain experience and so on, right? So now, when rubber hit the road, right, the fresh graduate is kind of like coming to a junction, right? So now, can you spend about 1 or 2 minutes max, right, to advise the fresh graduates how to start their career, and 1 or 2 things that is a do or a don't during the interview, so that they will be able to secure work or even to bid for projects in that matter, as Dato Peng said. So who want to start first? 2 minutes advice how to start the career, and if they have a opportunity to talk to potential employer, what is the big don't and what they should do more.
All right, I start.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So I think the one thing that the student should be ready is, number 1, they shouldn't be too choosy in choosing the job. So they have to be prepared themselves. As I said, you have to make sure that you are able to cope and ready with any kind of job that is available. Of course, when I say don't be too choosy, you just take any kind of job. No. First of all, you have to base on 2 things. Number 1 is your knowledge. You know, you have to know what your strength, your knowledge that will help in terms of you performing your job. So this is very important. When I say just choose any job, that means at least show based on your degree certificate or at least based on your knowledge, and try to and if you couldn't find that one, make sure do things that really interest you, because in this job you need a motivation. Without any interest, without a prior knowledge, it's very difficult to perform a job. So my advice is, don't be choosy. Choose your job based on your knowledge or your interest. And the last one, I think, if you couldn't find any job out there, please come to university and further study. Do your master's or your PhD. Not because to get certificate, as I said, not because of to get the certificate, master's or PhD. It's because you want to enhance your knowledge so that you can have a better opportunity and to get a job. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric, you want to add on to that?
Yeah, so I'll tell you about my story. So most of us graduate from university do not know what we want. I think in my case, I was lucky. I joined Intel 30 years ago, right after my graduation from University Malaysia. But that time, Intel is very small. Nobody knows much about Intel. So I would consider that a very small company back then, right? But Intel and many of the MNCs allow people to do job rotation. And sure enough, I found something that I really like and build my career around it, right? So sometimes you just got to try, because we're too young and do not really know what we are passionate about. Some maybe you're a bit more aware, but some of us may be clueless. So similar to Prof, my advice is not to be picky, but join any companies, whether it's MNC, SME, and if you are, and to maybe Queenie's point, stay longer, at least 2 years. Because that's where you learn, that's where you can contribute, and that way you're good for your CV. And so for some of you who are much more entrepreneur, maybe then join some startup. It's okay. I think today, if you talk to Dato, there are a lot of digital RAM, digital support platforms that is so much easier to join the so-called the digital domain and the business side of it. So I think that piece, I think you should explore all options. And then it's part of the job interview piece. I would just say, be yourself, be honest, be prepared. Just like your studies, you don't go to exams unprepared. So in some cases, you must know what the company is looking for, what the company does, do your homework, and I think it will serve you well.
Okay, Queenie, you want to add on to that?
Yeah, like I said, a lot has been said about it. I think the graduate also, like, okay, the other thing that I've seen graduate not doing enough is that when you come for an interview, you interview for the company or you interview for the role. I think it's also important that when you go for an interview, sometimes they will tell you this is the entry level, this is level 1 or level 2. Now, as you progress into the different level of interview, you should try and get to know the people, if you do know the industry people, that your friends or your senior, your peers who have worked there, who knows them, right? And then get to know a little bit about exactly what they do, right? And also, if you have seniors working in the organization, even better. Family members who knows them, even better. Now, it might be very traditional because I do have, ask my mom, ask my dad. No, I don't think that's, but you must be honest, the people who are hiring you are your mom and your dad's age. There are certain expectations, there are certain level of preparedness that you need to have. Worst case, just take it as a pinch of salt, right? There's no harm telling your mom and dad or your elders that you're going for an interview, they might have some advice that you might really consider. Now, the interesting thing now is that because everything is digital today, I think the grad must also take care that when you do a digital interview, you must be very well prepared, because the eye contact, the emotions, and all very different. Because in the digital world, when you do a digital interview, a lot of time you will be asked to put on your video, right? And you need to be fully prepared. You know, the simple things like distancing and all that, and also do click on join early, right? Rather than wait for your interviewer to be there. I think these are little things that that is in the digital space, or rather in the BAU space, is arriving on time. Know where is your interview location. Don't just, you know, get into a Grab and go there and suddenly you realize you're lost. Right, prepare enough time for the interview. Be ready for it. Right, that's all I have to say.
Dato, anything to add on?
Okay, first thing first, what are jobs suitable? Well, we hear that you cannot be choosy, but also believe that as a graduate, if you're looking for a job, you should also know that what's the long-term goal that you want to achieve, and then look for something that can give you the good start. I think that is really important. You cannot say that I just want a job and then you're not happy with it, then you cannot contribute, you cannot do a good job, then there's no long-term prospect. So knowing what is your long-term goal is really key. As to attending job interview, I think Queenie well said, those are the things that we have to be very, because I gave an interview, I got frustrated myself, because, and also you need to test your link if it's online interview. Otherwise, you cannot really give the interviewer a good impression. And when you interview for a job, let's say you're interviewing for a job, it's important that you research the company's background. It is a no that you go for a job, you don't even know the company, what they do. And that shows your professionalism of a person. And during the interview, make sure that you show very good work ethic, know the job, and importantly, today we want to know whether you're able to solve problems. All employers are looking for people who can solve problems. So we don't want just an order taker. We want someone who can communicate well, who have good work ethic. So you must be able to show that you have those during interview. But if, let's say, for whatever reason, you are not able to secure a job because of some challenges, I still think that stay positive and continue learning is important, and start your own business. So you may not have the chance to work for others. You may be able to create something, a platform for others to work for you and work with you. And you can start with as a freelancer to build up your credential, to gain the experience, and or start a business. Start a business based on what you know. Sell something, sell your service, sell some product. That it can also be a good start as well.
Thank you, Dato. Keat?
Yeah, sure. I think those of the students who are participating in this particular competition, for example, are already off to a good start. I think if you are looking for a job, if I were an interviewer, I'm looking for people, fresh graduates, right? Experience in competitions, in freelance works and all that, exposure makes a big difference. And in fact, I spoke to a couple of fresh graduates just recently, and I was asking them, polling them on, you know, what do you think, you know, in their own experience, because they've gone around many interviews, some of them very intensive 8 to 12-hour interviews, you know, with some multinational companies. And one of the things that they told me was that, yeah, you know, they realized that their experiences having done freelancing, having participated in competitions, actually stood them in a good stead with some of their potential employees. So even if you don't have experience, I think there are, in today's economy, there are plenty of avenues like this one to participate, to gain some experience. And then I think, you know, it gives you the opportunity also to find out, as what Dato said, that Dato said that the ability to find what you are interested in really in the long term and deciding on what you want to do, I think is important. So getting involved in some of these activities allow you to find that direction and then hopefully choose the right path for yourself.
Okay, thank you. So 5 minutes. So before we wrap, we'll take a few questions. So over here, I have 3 right now. The first question is by Muhammad Hafiz Ismail, which is just now Keat already mentioned it. So with COVID-19 and all those things, some of the classes start to go virtual and may not be exposed to all the technical lab, right? So now, without hands-on practical experience, how the industry view this in terms of the quality of graduates? Eric, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I think there are other options. So I think naturally it's good to be always in the lab doing the technical training. But to Keith's point, there are also a lot of simulation programs. There are a lot of maybe in some cases hybrid approach. So like even for Intel, we do get our people to come in. Maybe not every day. We still go meet up. You know, if you practice some of the social distancing, some of the graduate trainees could still do a lot of work. So I would say we just need to be adaptive. There are some areas that we can maybe still allow us to go back to the labs and the universities or the companies, and some cases a little bit more simulation, a little bit more online piece. So I think if you keep a very agile, a very flexible approach to things, I think we can still manage it. That's all I have.
Yep. Thank you, Eric. The second question is, due to this outbreak, it is harder to reach out to company to look for job. So how would you suggest graduates to network with people in the workplace to be exposed to more job opportunity? So how to find more job opportunity with COVID-19 so you can't go around looking for job? Peng, you want to comment on that?
There are a lot of job portals, right? Because you don't really hang around with people in HR to find jobs. Today, everybody advertise, not because of COVID. Before COVID or during COVID or post-COVID, people continue to advertise jobs. In the past, maybe on newspaper, I think you can still find that. But go to all the job portals. Go online, search. You'll find jobs. I think that is the first step to find opportunities. I cannot think of any other better way, because you can ask friends, you can ask family members, but there are many job portals. Seriously,
I would like to add also that not only job portals have jobs, but also company websites. So the other thing is also good that you also, for example, you want to work for SAS, you want to work for Intel, you want to work for DHL, whoever. These companies also have their websites. Where they will post what are the job offerings or where you could go to look for a job, or contact the companies today. I'm interested. I think like what Prof said earlier, the student needs to be more proactive in search, right? Proactive in search. If you sit at home and you just hang out with your gang, I think it's going to be very hard for you to know where to look for a job. So you need to search, and search is free, right? You just Google and say, I want to be a data scientist in Intel, then, or you want to be I want to do something with AI in IoT, right? You'll be surprised what you get. You might not get the job scope, but you might not get the job role, but you might get the job scope, and you can decide if this is something for you, right? So be creative. The graduates have to be creative, have to be proactive.
Okay. Sign up at LinkedIn, for instance. A lot of people are looking for staff, because in fact, like if MDEC wants to find somebody, we actually sometimes we go to LinkedIn to look for people with the right profile. So there are many ways.
Okay, thank you. Our time is almost up, so I'll try to just do a wrap up. First of all, due to COVID-19, I think the high-tech industry in Malaysia still doing relatively okay compared to the service sector and hospitality. So there are still jobs available for this sector. The other thing is that due to COVID-19, things are moving very fast. So the ability to learn and adapt quickly for the graduate is very, very important, right? And then the up and coming digital skill sets, IoT, Industry 4.0, automation, software, and all those areas are the primary area, right? So then this comes to the interesting one, the wisdom of all the key panelists to the graduates, right? So I got about 9. So the first advice to fresh graduate is not too choosy about your job, and start to explore and find your passion and learn. So once you choose and you have to choose the job. If you know the job and what you like, choose the job that you like, you're interested in, right? If you can't get a job, continue to learn, and further study is an option. So you can approach Professor Badlishah, right? There are a lot of research opportunity in all the university and elsewhere, other university as well, right? Can't be just UniMAP, huh, Prof?
Other university as well.
So if ever you get a job, right, stay longer, gather more experience before you go for the next job, right? So when we stay longer, it's not 3 months, 6 months, a year or 2 years. That's called you have enough time to actually learn and learn the trade, and then you move on. Okay. So when you attend interview, be yourself, be prepared, be honest, be punctual. Right. So you have to research about a job, research about a company, right? The 6 that you have to learn is digital presence, right? You need to wear appropriate, you need to have the right background and things like that, because a lot of things now engage in the digital world, right? It is online now. The 7 is just do it, don't wait. What is my passion? Just do it, and you will find your passion, right? So it's a bit like Nike, right? Just do it. The other thing is, in order to be able to successful, right, before interview, you got to do research about the company, so that it show your seriousness, it show your professionalism before interview, right? You prepare and you will be able to articulate, right, more comfortably during interview. The 9th, if in any way you can't find a job and you do want to study, start something small, start a business, right? First thing is you can be a gig. You can start doing work for people, right? Dato is talking of bidding for a job. So go approach MDEC, learn some way, some skill to sell your own skill, your own time, and get a small jobs, right? So, or if you are a bit more evangelist, you can start a small business. Okay. With that, I would like to thank all the the panelists, right? Dato Peng, Queenie Wong, Eric Chan, Keat, and Professor Badlishah. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And good luck to all the students and graduates.
Yeah, good luck to everyone.
All right.
Good luck to everyone. Yeah, that's the right thing, right? Good luck to everyone. And stay safe. Make sure that you all are all safe. Huh? Okay, bye-bye. Eunice, over to you. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you once again to all our distinguished panelists for spending your morning with us. What a great discussion this morning, and such insightful thoughts and tips for our graduating audience. I hope our 140 online audiences took away some important key points this morning. I know I have. There's a saying that goes, the only constant is change. So to be able to survive and succeed, especially during this challenging time, remember to rise up to the occasion, be resilient to change, pick up new skills, and have a good mindset. Uncle Google or Pak Google is one help only. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of our morning panelist discussion. Finalists and invited audience, you may now proceed to join the respective breakout sessions. Look out for the different tracks to enter, as there are different technology talks and different tracks. If you're a finalist, please remember to enter the right track. Otherwise, the judges won't be able to watch your final pitch. Again, visit this website, this link, bit.ly/imdcon. Click on the link and chat and enter the breakout room. And with that, this ends our this morning session. All the best to the finalists, and thank you very much for tuning in.